When we're faced with decision making, and if you remember, decide means to cut. And when you cut something and you commit to something else, you're leaving certain things behind.
Mhm.
That has happened, I think, on steroids the last 3 or 4 years, and even before that, where people are being forced to make decisions with their lives, their bodies, their careers, their jobs that maybe they don't 100% want to make.
Mhm.
So when we're in that situation, there's a level of when we're in a situation like that, there's a level of uncertainty that happens that sets us up for not knowing. So the concept I use when I'm dealing with the power of now what, it is, are you okay with saying, I don't know?
Mhm.
Are you saying, I don't know on purpose, authentically, or are you pretending you know stuff that you don't really know, which sets you up in many ways for failure? Because as you said, all the things that are going on right now are done in the name of, let's call it inclusivity. But what it's doing is excluding people. It's excluding conversations about the future. So we're so distracted and being forced to talk about all these ridiculous issues when the truth is life is still happening. Things are still moving forward. Goals are still being set. Deals are still being made. But all of this uncertainty surrounds it. So we actually are forced to stay so in the present and so paralyzed in a way, from the polarization, we get paralyzed in the decision making process.
So when we apply the concept of the power of now what, we have to step back and go, I'm actually choosing not to make a decision because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to move forward, given the circumstances that are unfolding. Yet there's those that are actually just moving forward. So, I mean, what do you do in those scenarios, or how do we look at that? Because I don't know, my judgment of it is that so many people just seem to be living life, everything's grand, everything's cool. And then there's others that are going, I just literally don't know what to do next. So let's see if we can break that down a little bit. I don't know the answer to that one. Here's my observation. Those with a lot of cash right now, those who are sitting in a very liquid position, are actually just doing okay. They're living life, they're doing what they do. There's those that are have a job, they have a career, a business that they're uncertain about. They're really not knowing what to do next. So that is, again, in the power of now what might apply in those circumstances. Let's see if we can give some context or some scenarios that listeners can relate to. Any kind of thoughts that you can contribute in that regard?
Well, to that point, Hun, is that if we're have the courage to say I don't know and sit in that and not take the hit around or the slings and the arrows of people saying, well, what do you mean you don't know? You've always known. You're a leader. You must know. Tell us what to do. But the truth is, the minute you say I don't know, and you're vulnerable in that state, it actually gives other people permission to say maybe they don't know. And when you don't know something, you open up to discover and be curious what else could be a solution. Because for many years, many in my experience, many people were just moving from thing to thing to thing automatically or on automatic pilot. And right now that's been shut down. So when you shut something like that down, there's a gap. And in that gap lives uncertainty. And uncertainty can live in a space for quite some time because very little in life is certain. But when we live in uncertainty too long, we're in inaction. And when we get to inaction, that's when things start to really, really slow down. Inertia kicks in. And then what happens is the fear kicks in. So, what I would like to invite people to consider is to be in the uncertainty, be in curiosity, but then take some actions because that space around you, that space of uncertainty, is going to show you some feedback. It might show up as people you hadn't thought of being resources before. It can show up in opportunities, maybe a new career path, maybe a new group of friends, or you just never know what shows up in the I don't know. But if you're not willing to be vulnerable and just go, I just don't know right now, or yet, our famous line, I don't know yet, then there's no space for the new knowledge, the new resources, the new relationships, the new opportunities to show up.
So there's a couple things, and I love that, by the way, and it just reminded me of a couple things. First off, which is in the power of now what, it may mean reaching out to somebody that you respect or that you think has a skill set or a perspective you don't have. Often people will reach out within the RAIN community, for example, and ask for advice. And I always say, I can't really give you advice. What I can do is ask you questions. I can help maybe lead you into the answer that you get to for yourself or on your own based on the information that you have. Let me see if I can draw that out of you. So the point is that if you approach somebody and go, I really don't know what direction to go, how are you making a decision? What direction are you going based on this? Or how are you making decisions based on what's happening in the world today? So rather than look for advice or even somebody else's opinion, ask for their perspective. So, for example, recently a friend of mine reached out and said, I'm doing a video. I'm going to tap into a whole bunch of resources, and we're going to talk about the rate hikes and where rate hikes are going, where we see interest rates going. So I shot a little 35-second video, the fearless forecast of the future rate increases and what I see. And I stated it. And at the very end, I said, and here's the truth. I don't know. Nobody knows, and it's a guess at best, but it's always fun to do these kinds of things. So it was really, at that point, all I could do is give my perspective. And if that was valuable to people, to say, okay, something, I can see that perspective. So that, I think, is something that's important as well, is to actually ask and seek guidance from those who have experience, or that you respect, or have a level of expertise, just so you can see how they're looking at things. So then you can make different decisions, and make different choices. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think also asking the questions, the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions that you ask. And over the last while, especially, we're being told that we don't know stuff. So we need to go to the experts, whether it's weather, climate, pharmaceutical decisions, whatever. We don't know anything. We're not scientists. We're not doctors, but we do know things. And the truth is, if we put ourselves in environments with people who are asking curious and compelling questions, then we have the answers that we need. We're just being told that we don't have them. We do. It's time to get back to intuition. It's time to get back to looking to yourself and looking to the people around you that you trust, to bring some of those issues and those answers forward, so that you can look at things more clearly, with more logic, with more opportunity, or with more curiosity. I think we have all the answers that we need. I think we have them inside. It's just that they've been squished or maybe silenced for a little bit too long. So what I would invite you to do also is to not just look for resources and ask for perspective, but to put yourself in situations where people like me, for example, who are nosy or who know how to ask really good questions, to poke and to prod and to gently bring out the answers that you have. Because the truth is, you already know. You do.